Yes, good evening to you all. I'm going to try to add a few more slides. Stephen took again a few more slides. So, Jon, I'm afraid nothing is left over for you. But that's easier because then you don't have to use the slides. I'm Jan Fransen, I'm Managing Director of the Green Award Foundation. I've been spoken on an earlier seminar in, when was it, in October? So maybe the majority of you know what the Green Award is, but for those who don't know, the Green Award is a non-profit organization. We certify ships, oil tankers, bulk carriers and LNG carriers and inland shipping that comply with our standard. And when they comply with our standard, with their certificate, they get incentives in several ports and from several marine service providers like IBS. Also, I'd like to mention the customers, if I'm allowed to say so, we have here in Greece, and that we think these are top companies like Arcadia, AG in Bulk, Chandris, or Gandris, Consolidated Marine Management, Delta Tankers, Maran Tankers, Sun Enterprises, and Tenemaris. And 3 more companies are expected to join in as well. Today, I will not talk about the Green Award program as such, but I will try to say something about energy efficiency measures, to add a few more slides. So why are we doing this? Why did we add this to our program? How are we going to do this? How do we do this? And then we have a point of be aware. What are the challenges? Actually, the challenges are already mentioned. And what is our vision for the future? Why energy efficiency in Green Award program? First of all, it's the pressure we get from the ports, the participating ports in the Green Award program. It's the pressure we get from the politicians and mainly from the society. The society is the one who likes to have green ships. Actually, the society are your customers. That's why you trade cargo over the oceans. So we have to listen very carefully what the society likes. The Green Award scheme, I can say, in total, with the industry in our board of directors and our board of experts, with the partnering ports and marine service providers giving incentives to the ships that are complying with Green Award level. This is industry corporate social responsibility, 100%. How do we address energy efficiency? Well, you see a little table, a picture there, actually that contains all what we discussed today. And it's about 3 years ago we were about to launch the Blue Label certificate next to the Green Award certificate. Green Award certificate for the ships in general, performing better, safety, quality and environment, but especially on energy efficiency and exhaust emissions, we were about to create an extra Blue Label certificate. Finally, it didn't work like that. Finally, we took all these elements from the Blue Label certificate in our program as a voluntary score, because we work with a rating system, with a scoring system. I will come back on this one right now. So I'm going to guide you through one of our checklists we are using during our audits on board of the ships. And the first element is just a snapshot. The first element which is coming up here, that is the laser. Never used the laser. This is this part. Fuel oil testing for your bunkers. We already for a long time would like to see that every ship owner is doing quality fuel oil tests, because then we think we have a reliable figure of what the real contents of the fuel are, and next to that it is an additional safety measure. Then we go to the element air emissions. Here, I'm sure you cannot read it because the figures are rather small, but here on 5400 you see air emission monitoring for the purpose of environmental performance monitoring. And here we actually motivate the shipping companies to calculate or to monitor that is the white areas is monitoring by equipment, and the gray areas is monitoring by calculation. What is your performance on CO2, on SOx, on NOx, and on particulate matter? This gives an indication how you are performing, and during our office audits, of course, we will try to find out if you are improving. The screen doesn't show you how we work with scores. I will try to show you. So you will see on the white ones, when you have equipment, you have a high score on the number one, at 20 points. On the calculation method, you have 15 points, and so that's going on, and you can reach a certain overall score that is taken into account in the total overall score, where also safety issues and quality issues are incorporated. When we go to the NOx emissions, of course, we link it to MARPL 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 engines, both for main and auxiliary engines. And there you can have your individual scoring again. As you notice, here on the bottom line, for this element, you will need a minimum score of 0. So this is a voluntary score. We only motivate you to go a step further. But you can reach a very high score of 110, and that helps you to get the Green Award certificate pretty easy. Why did we put this on 0? Because we departed from the Blue Label certificate. So this is voluntary scores in the Green Award program. I will come back on that one later. Apart from literally scoring on Tier 1, Tier 2, or Tier 3 engines, we also have a list of elements we like to see or we like to suggest where you can gain improvements. This is totally up to you, and this is for us a system to find out where are the ship owners in general with their performance. And this continues for NOx, SOx, CO2 and PM. Apart from when we're talking about fuel, and we have the ECAs were mentioned today as well. When we talk about ECAs, we also like to see that there are fuel changeover procedures being used on board of the ships. And we like to see that the ship owner is using the recommendations from the classification societies. The reason why we do that is that because, first of all, we have already seen ships that got a fine or were granted a deficiency because they were too late in their changeover procedures. And secondly, it's a safety issue, to our opinion, so we like to see that this is included in the passage plan. I'm not going further in detail because it's too much. This is same for particulate matters and the same for CO2 matters. Actually, all similar elements as were mentioned before. Next to that, we also included the Environmental Ship Index. That's not mentioned today yet. The Environmental Ship Index is an initiative from the ports, from the IAPH, the World Port Climate Initiative. And actually this is the reason why we departed with a compulsory score in our program, and we changed this, the ESI participation from the ship owner to this ESI in order to prevent that we would have a clash with the participating ports in the Green Award. And so you would lose your incentives. We'd like to see that the ship is participating in the ESI, and you can have extra scorings on your rating in the ESI system. I will come back on the ESI later. So, the next slide. Be aware. And I'm especially taking this because I mentioned already the ESI. And probably a lot of you already are aware of this program, the Clean Air Action Plan in San Pedro Bay. That's by Los Angeles and Long Beach. Of course, this is a plan which is focusing on container ships. But I know, and you know, there are also some other ships coming there. And the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach, they try to create a program similar to the ESI based on this plan. And this plan contains actually all the elements which are already mentioned is in the first session and in the second session. And that's nicely matching with our Green Award program as well. Multiple initiatives are popping up. Environmental Ship Index, that's a ports program. Clean Air Action Program, Los Angeles, Long Beach. Clean Cargo Working Group. Carbon War Room, mentioned as well. Clean Ship Index, a Swedish initiative with Swedish shippers. Singapore launched their program recently. Hong Kong has the Fair Wind Charter. Vancouver has their own system, tier 3 system based on clean air. Seattle has a slow steaming program and a green flag program. China, as we saw on your website, is introducing a tax cut on clean ships. So maybe ship owners will flag out to the Chinese flag. And then the APEC conference of the Pacific ports also came up with ideas of a program. So this is why I say be aware what you're going to do. This is very confusing. About the Clean Air Action Program, I'm very well aware you cannot read this list, but this list, believe me, is very much the same as what was mentioned before. It's very much the same on all the elements that are mentioned. And maybe you can have a look on the website of the Port of Los Angeles and Long Beach, that you can see what they are heading for, and that might help you in your decisions. The ESI program, a voluntary program focusing on NOx, particulate matter and SOx, and in the future possibly also on CO2. It's very voluntarily, there are no inspections, but based on your bunker delivery notes and your classification certificates, they will measure what your index is. And based on the index, you can reap incentives. And for example, with a Green Award ship, if you call it the Port of Rotterdam, then it will be double dipping, because then you get an incentive on this one, and you get an incentive on the Green Award. The challenges, well, you said it very nicely, Stefan. The challenge is greenhouse gas stack emissions. I'm not going to repeat it, but a lot of things are coming on. And actually today it's so much, and I wonder, how can we cope with this? Or how can you cope with this? So I don't have to mention this because it's already mentioned enough. But I like to focus on the last one, crewing. Crewing, because we pay attention to crew. We think the training of the crew, the competence of the crew, and the welfare of the crew are extremely important. They actually protect your assets. They protect your assets. And that's why you see on our logo a red floating thing there. I don't know if you can see it. But this is Poseidon looking firm on the sea, the clean sea, and the red part represents the people on board of the ship. They make and break your system. You can have nice technology, but if the people are not good, then it won't work. So the people are crucial. We call it the human capital. And I think ship owners quite often, in quite a lot of cases, ship owners should pay more attention to that. The challenges continued. As you noticed, multiple local requirements are popping up from the ports. TMSA was mentioned. I mentioned the Clean Cargo Group. The Clean Cargo Group is working with the container ships, but they indicated they are also going to other ship types. So industry environmental requirements are coming up more and more. And then next to that we have the IMO conventions. The picture shows an energy efficient port with clean air. No ships. Vision for the future. We like, because we see we are existing since 1994, and actually it was DNV who helped us to set up the program. We think this is going in the wrong direction. So we do our utmost best to find ways how we can collaborate with all these initiatives in an economical, viable way for the ship owner, and in a reasonable way. So that's why we embraced the environmental ship index from the ports, but we already are in discussions with other parties who are running similar lookalike initiatives. Next to that, we're trying to focus, because now we are only based in Rotterdam, we're working worldwide. Next to that, we are in contact with some countries and trying to arrange different branch offices in the different continents and calling, let's say, Green Award Asia, Green Award Middle East, and perhaps Green Award North America. That's something we would like to establish. This will take a long time, I can tell you, but we make the effort. As I mentioned, the whole program as such is a joint industry tool for corporate social responsibility. And as indicated, green credentials, how important will they be for competition? If I talk about tanker companies, ships, companies running tankers, your vetting inspections are crucial. They are your ticket to ride, next to the regulatory elements, but the vetting is crucial. The next one will be green, and well, TMSA is giving the direction already. Extremely important. So energy efficient, clean, low emitting, that will be the high flyers of the future. That are the companies, to our opinion, who are going to survive. Thank you very much. And as I noticed, Poseidon is our logo.